Okay folks, this is a radioimmunoassay, and in this scenario we have an antibody directed against a target, say for instance it's insulin. The red indicator is insulin that would be present in serum, and the blue marker is radioactively labelled insulin that's provided by the company. And the way this concept works is you put the antibody directed against the insulin onto a plate. You then add the radio labelled insulin provided by the company to the antibody, and you get binding. So all the antibodies have radioactively labelled insulin bound to them. And the way this assay works is the insulin present in the blood sample will displace the radioactively labelled insulin. And when you then wash away the unbound insulin from the sample and the radioactively labelled insulin that was displaced, you wash them away, and what you then do is you take the antibodies that have bound and place it into a gamma counter, and the degree of which the radioactively labelled insulin was lost will give you an indication of how much insulin was present in the sample. Okay, so in this scenario, if you get a high radioactive labelled signal here, then you will get a low concentration of your target. If you get a high concentration of your target, say there's high insulin in the plasma, then you will get a low radioactive signal. Okay. So that's the basic concept of a radioimmunoassay. It's a competitive assay by which you start off with a known amount of radioactive target attached to the antibody. You then add your blood sample containing the target that you want to measure, and the target present in the blood sample displaces the radioactive label that's attached to the antibody. What you then do is, if you know the amount of radioactivity that was present at the start, the decrease in radioactivity can give you an indication of how much target was present in the blood sample. And hence that's why this assay would be considered a competitive assay, because the higher the amount of radioactivity detected, then that means there was less target in the blood sample that was able to displace it. Whereas if you have a high amount of target in your blood sample, it will displace a large amount of radioactive tracer, and therefore you'll get a decrease in radiation detection.